significantly extra people on a Wednesday night and a really cold Wednesday night that otherwise wouldn't go against a team that, I mean, those of us who follow the NBA know Memphis, but Memphis isn't a, you know, it's not the Cavs, it's not Kobe, you know what I'm saying? But all I know, and I don't know to what extent it has been in Atlanta, but here in Los Angeles, and you know, I live on the internet basically, everybody in the country is talking about Tinder Night. Today's Show did a segment on it. You know, and so what happens is all of a sudden it's in the public consciousness. There's so much noise out there. We all deal with it. You guys deal with it. I deal with it. I mean, to break through my attention span at this point, you know, you really have to have a story that's meaningful and unique. And so, you know, here are the Hawks. They do their boss letter, right? You know, and I think Coonan's kind of a genius in this respect, right? Is everybody was talking about that in my, like, you know, the CEO writes a letter that says, hey, let your employees stay up late at night. And if you do, I'll buy you a ticket to the next game. And it was a great stunt. I don't think a 1,000 people did it. Probably a few hundred actually took them up on it. But the point was it got the Hawks a ton of publicity. Tinder Night, same thing, got the Hawks a ton of publicity. And it also signaled to a younger generation that there's the fact that a team would even know what Tinder is. Okay, and whether you use it or whether you don't, it's an emblem of the digital age, and I think the Hawks kind of have a recognition. When you look at the Hawks Twitter feed, it's a little smarter and a little funnier and a little more irreverent than your average Twitter feed. Again, I don't think anybody goes to a building because they like the Twitter feed, but what I do think is in aggregate, you know, when you start aggregating all this stuff together and all the free publicity you get from clever marketing, whether or not you think it's cheesy or you think it's clownish or whatever, it does collectively make a dent in the consciousness, and that's the problem with the Hawks, right? They've always been the number behind the Falcons and Braves and Tech and Georgia and all the rest of it. And I think now they're going to make a claim to say, hey, look, we're actually kind of the smart, somewhat fashionable, somewhat hip product in town. And I think they're starting to get that.
Well, and just to get it into the team a little bit, you know, as a fan and an analyst, having grown up in Atlanta, I'm sure you still have interest in the Hawks in a big way. So, you know, what do you feel that the impending, you know, free agency of Millsap, Carroll, you know, those types of guys, how they're playing on the court this year? Give us your opinion of the Hawks and their season as it goes today.
Look, they are an absolute pleasure to watch. And I don't know, it's very hard to quantify how many of those 2,000 additional fans are there because they love the product, but it is beautiful basketball. And, you know, you guys know it because you're sports guys. I mean, I hope anybody listening who hasn't got a chance to see the team, just go see it if you love the game. I mean, they pass the ball. They kind of do that Spurs stuff where it's really, really pretty. Everybody buys into the philosophy. There's not a bona fide superstar on the team, but everybody's very fluent in his role. Everybody is really unselfish. The whole enterprise works, I think, because, you know, they have a really responsive, intelligent coach who has instilled and really gotten the best out of guys who are themselves really responsive, intelligent. It's a really well-constructed roster. You know, Jeff Teague has answered every challenge that's been thrown at him. He wasn't a great defender, even as recently as a year or two ago. But, man, he has just absolutely refined his game within this system, and it speaks volumes to Jeff Teague. I mean, Damari Carroll, nobody knows who that guy is. I was one of the only people who voted for all defense last year to put him on an all defense team. He's incredibly scrappy and just a really heady ball player who defends. And Korver, obviously, everybody knows is like the world's greatest shooter right now. And Millsap's just a blue collar guy who can beat you inside, he can beat you outside, and Horford is Horford. You know, everyone's familiar with him. But what's great about Horford right now is he actually has a system that is almost perfectly, like, I think if you would ask Mike Budenholzer before he even offered the Hawks job, hey, who would you like as your five? Who would you like as your center? He'd say somebody like Al Horford, you know, a big man who knows how to pass the ball, you know, who just is really heady, you know, has the intelligence of Tim Duncan, that kind of player. And so it's a really, really interesting product. I mean, I think we're all vetting them right now to see, okay, just how serious are they? I mean, are they the best team in the Eastern Conference? I mean, should we, like, slate them for a finals appearance? I mean, I don't know. I'm not there yet, but I'm getting there. And, yeah, I think we just have to see a little while longer. They got I think they have like a 5-day, 4-game road trip coming up. I'm really curious to see how they do on that. And we got Chicago and Toronto on that trip maybe. So they're a really fun team, a really smart team, a really unselfish team. And I think it's tough because the marketing, it's almost making my proposition a little more difficult. Like, there's going to be a point where we have this conversation in 2 months if they keep this up, where we're saying, well, look, attendance is up 3,000 and it's clearly good marketing, and to which we're all going to say, no, it's, they're 40-11 or whatever the hell they are. Of course they're drawing. They're the best team in basketball. So that's going to be interesting. But I think a lot of this, dirty little secret, guys, I wrote most of this piece in November. This happened when they were a 500 ball club. I was writing this piece before all this stuff with the actual success on the floor happened. So, this has been in the works, and I think the answer is that, for all the offensive things about Bruce Levinson's email, it was more wrong than it was offensive. It was just wrong. If you were a marketing or branding expert, you would look at that memo and say, you're crazy. And Steve Koonin is a marketing and branding expert, whether you think the stuff is gimmicky or not. And, that's what his data told him, which is no, the Alpha Red Unicorn does not exist. Our fans are young people, African American people, in-town people who like a really fun civic social event. People who don't get in their garage, get in the car, get out, go to the arena. Now, these are people who hang out after the game. They're going to check out a place to eat, a cafe, a bar, a pool hall. These are people who actually love their city. And in fact, I think there's another piece of data that was interesting. It's sort of like, I don't think it made it into the piece, but, people in his new target demographic are not people who, again, they're the people who, hey, we're going to go to the game at 7:30, game's over at 10, let's go grab a bite to eat, let's go shoot some pool. Let's find a lounge, let's find a club, let's, whatever it is. And I think that is much more the spirit, is that it's a true civic in-town social and recreational event, not some place that you get into the minivan, get out, get back in, you don't even bother to really take in the city.
And Kevin, I tell you, man, we got to do this again, man. I thank you so much for your time today. It's been so gracious with your time, because me and John really enjoyed your article. That's why I contacted you, because, man, that hit home for me and John. We talked about this multiple times on the show, and it's having a guy like you speak on what we've been speaking on for years, and it shows about. Somebody finally validates what we've all said for a good while here. It's good, and you're a at-home ATL, and if that's in it too, it rings home, and I can't wait for the response we get from this interview, because it was great for us and great for you as well. Come on, doing it with us, because we appreciate it greatly.
No, it was great to be on, guys. Thanks so much for having me, and thanks for reading the piece and getting it out there.
Yes, indeed, Kevin. Anytime, we got to do it again real soon, buddy, no doubt. We'll definitely be in contact with you.
Take care.
No doubt. And that was Kevin Arnovitz, ESPN.com writer. Check him out today. Follow him on Twitter at his name, Kevin Arnovitz. Coming up next, it's the Boss Report.
Hip-hop fans, I got a great album for you. The debut album from Family Grind ENT, True Speech and 313 Fresh. We're going to give you 2 discs, 33 songs of pure, genuine hip-hop. Album is available on iTunes, Amazon, Google Play, illstreetrex.com, and streaming live right now on Rhapsody, Beats Music, Spotify, Xbox Music, Slacker Radio, and SoundCloud. Check them out today, True Speech and 313 Fresh, Family Grind ENT. Believe in it, get it. For all your photo, video, and voiceover needs, check out the fine folks at Blueberry Productions. They will take good care of you. If you don't believe me, you can see for yourself. Check out their work at blueberryproductions.tv, the Facebook page, Blueberry Productions, also a Vimeo page, a YouTube page, and it's Blueberry, Blueberry Prod on Twitter. Check them out today. Blueberry Productions, great people, great work, great service.
And yes, we're back on the JR The Bossman Show with John Beckler. Had a great interview right there with Kevin Honovitz, ESPN.com. Great interview. But now, it's what's been waiting on. It's time for the Boss Report. John, first story of the day, John. Idaho woman arrested after stealing a car, punching cop, and pleasuring herself while smiling for her pretty mugshot.
I mean, well, first of all, you cannot punch a police officer. That's just all kind. You just don't do that. Okay, I mean, it's just it's a bad look. Things are going to go poorly for you after you do that. Now, then you follow that up by, cutting a record, playing DJ during your mugshot photo. That's just, I don't even know, man. Every week, I'm telling you, like the cop's job is so sometimes police do things and we're like, man, that's just stupid. But when you really boil down to it, they got to deal with the worst of the craziest situations, and that, I'm sure, is a story that these guys are going to be telling people for, months and years on end.
You better believe it. And a Florida man arrested after stripping naked in CVS and napping on the dog bed.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, what's up? Keep your clothes on, Florida man. Keep your clothes on, man. I know it's hot down there, but, you at least wear some, undies or something. Keep your boxers on. Why you gotta get all the way down to butt naked, and then you got, the dog beds involved. Now the dog beds are tainted, and it's brutal, man. Brutal.
And we have a local man sets kitchen ablaze, attempting to clean his wife's dildo.
Wait a minute. Run that one back real quick.
Local man sets his kitchen ablaze, attempting to clean wife's dildo.
What was he trying to clean it with? A flamethrower? Napalm? What were you using to clean it with? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but most of these things are rubber, right? You don't want.
Yeah.
I don't know. What I mean, I don't. Oh God, I just. I don't know honestly, what were you cleaning it with? I mean, I don't want to divulge too much here, JR, but my experience has been if you're cleaning something of that nature, you would use, boil it or something, right? Hot water, soapy water, what do you need a flame for? What is catching on fire, JR, honestly?
It says the guy was near the propane tank when he was cleaning the dildo as well.
I mean, maybe he was smoking a cigarette or something, he fired up a Marlboro and there's a gas leak, maybe it wasn't associated with the dildo at all. It was something else to do with it, but it seems odd that while performing this act, you would catch something on fire. That's all I can say.
Yes, indeed. And a Tennessee man arrested after trying to smuggle 900 oxymorphone pills through the Nashville airport.
Oxymoron, maybe. How are you gonna get 900 pills through the airport with the increased airport security? It was back, and I don't know if you remember this, JR, or not, but back in the 80s and the early 90s, it was like cocaine cowboys, man. You could smuggle weed and all kinds of drugs through the airports because there was no real security there, now, like you're not getting anything past them. Like you can't even